The number of homeless has drastically increased in recent years. Yes, today I cry out for the homeless and the mentally ill. And I ask you to cry out in a holy rage until justice flows like a mighty river. Thank you.
It is as a mendicant friar of the Dominican order, a Roman Catholic religious community founded at the beginning of the 13th century, that I stand before you and before the politicians who have not shown their faces here. It is a beggar that I beg for true justice. Justice as understood in the sense of righting the relationships among ourselves. The people of BC and Canada, and especially righting the relationship between the majority of us and the disadvantaged and the vulnerable of our communities. As Christians, we believe that Jesus came to right, to set straight the relationship between God and us, but also to give us a mission to make sure that that relationship would be straightened and rightened among ourselves, to have more just relationship between ourselves. And that is the mission entrusted to us. And that mission means we must clearly denounce those responsible for the injustice and mistreatment of the poor and the vulnerable. That mission means that we must work towards a more just and equitable sharing of the resources, the plenty of resources entrusted to all of us. Over the years, some progress had been made, but we all know that we have a long way to go, and that it seems all too often that we take 2 steps backward for each step forward. Cutting back is not moving forward. It is not progress. Cutting back is not justice. It is an injustice. All faith communities, no matter who we are, share in the same golden rule that may be expressed in different ways, but it is all common to us all. And this golden rule for Christians says, in everything, do to others as you would have them do to you. For that is the law and the prophets. We, the people of BC, and you, our political representatives in the legislature, would not want others to be unjust towards us. Well, at the moment we are unjust towards a segment of our society, and that is wrong. And so I beg you, citizens of BC, but also our political representatives, let us become more aware of the injustice and the pains that exist in our relationship with the working poor, with low-income citizens, with the vulnerable people of our society. And I beg you, our elected legislators, bring more justice to our relationship with these same people. I beg you, raise the minimum wage, the lowest in Canada, to a more just and livable wage for all those. Because they depend on it for their basic needs of food, shelter, education and transportation. I beg of you, our elected legislators, to restore the cuts which the government itself has classified as small, and which are in fact a very small amount of the monies available, yet which are big, oh so big, on those affected then. I beg of you, let BC move forward, not backward. Move forward towards a fuller version of equity and justice which most Canadians wish for those who are disadvantaged and vulnerable in our beautiful and rich province.
The word for faith in Hebrew is emunah. You often say it when you're saying amen. It comes from that same root and it has a sense of truth in it. But in the Jewish tradition, the beginnings of emunah is the realization that the world we live in is a broken world. It's a fragmented universe. And our job as humans is to do repair, is to repair our world. And poverty is perhaps the most obvious manifestation of our brokenness. It teaches in Deuteronomy, you shall open wide your hand to your brother and sister, to the poor and the needy in the land. The word for caring for poor, for the actual resources that we give to the poor in Hebrew is tzedakah. It literally means righteousness and justice. So if we're to fulfill the words of Torah, tzedek, tzedek turdov, justice, justice you shall pursue, it means that we need to care deeply through action for the poor in our community.
You're here. Yeah.
When the Israelites were leaving the bondage of Mitzrayim, the place of stuckness that often gets translated erroneously as Egypt, when we were on our way, we were attacked in the rear by Amalek. And we're commanded in the Jewish tradition to always remember what Amalek did to us. And Amalek has become the archetype of evil. But we're also to remember our role, that it was our weak and our needy and our stragglers who were in the rear. Our responsibility was to place them in the center, to take the weakest of our society and place them in the middle of us, to be surrounded and to be protected. So I ask, where are the vulnerable and where are the poor in our society? They're not in the middle. They're on the margins. If we're to be a righteous community, we need to place them into the middle. We need to surround them with care and protection. They are our responsibility.
You're here.
Now, I'm fairly new to Canada, and when I first got here, people would ask me, what is it about Canada that's attractive? And my sense was this idea that we try to create a civil society, that those who are more vulnerable, we try to raise their standard of living. By raising the standard of living of all of us, all of our standards of living go up. It was something that makes me proud to be in Canada and to be a new Canadian, almost. A little while left. And I saw for the first time, on the TV in the Olympics, a sense of pride in country and a pride in province. But I want something that we could really be proud of. If we were able to have the capabilities to have the whole world say congratulations to us about the Olympics, let the whole world say congratulations to BC about the fact that we can and will eradicate poverty.
Yeah.
Every morning before prayer in the Jewish tradition, we say a very powerful statement, which is, behold, I take it upon myself to fulfill the holy obligation, ve'ahavta recha kamocha, and you shall love your neighbor like yourself. And I know that if I love my neighbor like myself, that I don't want Sean, as Reverend Al talked about, crawling on Pandora, because that's not what I would want for me. It's not what I would want for my brother, my sister, anyone. What I need for me is what we all need. If we were really to say, I love my neighbor as myself, it means that we need to care deeply for the poor. We need to do what we can to eradicate poverty. So we ask the leaders, and let's face it, they're us. We elected them, they represent us. And it's not about which party, it's a nonpartisan, it's a collective, it's a cooperative spirit that it's going to take, and it's going to take all of us